Hello everyone who just wants to hang out with a big circular fortress in the middle of absolute nowhere. Again, I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths, and more specifically, welcome back to the series that I had actually given up on. Right up until people started saying like, hey, can you please continue that, it's kinda helpful. That's right, it's the build menu walkthrough part 4? 5, I think? So we've done blocks, water, air, land, and now it's time for resources. And if you haven't seen the first 4 episodes of this, or like parts of the series, I suppose. Does it count as episodes? I don't know. Anyway, if you haven't seen those, do give them a look, because I surprised myself with like, there's blocks in here I completely forgot about. I completely forgot about the Switch, for instance. But enough beating around the bush, we're here to talk about resources. So, resources and From the Depths, and this is something that I think new players will find kind of helpful. It's a little bit, well, it's not as complicated as it used to be, but it's still kind of like, it's something you have to learn. So, we turn the UI on. Here with our test fortress, this is literally what this fortress is for, testing stuff. I love it. You will see off on the right side of the screen, we have about over 500,000 materials and about 903 commodities. So, materials are what you use to build stuff, and your vehicles and stuff also need it in order to like use to convert the materials into ammunition or fuel. We will get to that as we go. So basically, you need materials to kind of do anything, unless you're being, well, you do need to kind of use it to build anything. Rambot's corpse is taking a very long time to go away. So let's start from the top. So material storage. You have a lot of different kind of material storage. They're all basically the same thing. The only difference is that the bigger ones carry more materials. So we have everything from this little wooden material storage container, which contains 500 materials. You can see it goes up by 5. Then you have the large one, which contains 4,000 materials, because it's like, well, it's 8 times as much material, because its volume is consistent. Then you have a tank, and you have a tank, and you have another tank. Basically, really the only difference between all of these things is just the appearance. I believe they're even consistent in terms of, yeah, so even like wooden containers and metal containers have the same armor value and all that stuff. They don't get any health bonuses from being bigger. Speaking of, here's more metal containers. There's a small one, there's a large one, there's a locker, and there's another locker. So these things are also really good resources for like decoration meshes if you're wanting to make your craft look very pretty. Reminder to everyone, Control X allows you to put decorations, and let's see, what can we do here? Control Shift X allows you to place the block you have as a decoration. It's very nice. Control Z to get rid of it. Alright, and then you have MISC, which is just, I don't know, a fancy sci-fi box. It has things on the side, it has crafts on the side. Very Subnautica, and which I have not played, by the way. Alright, so and there's the bigger version, and there's a fancy thing. All of these assets, I believe, date back from the days when there were multiple resources. Those of you who have played like From the Depths for a long time would remember that. It was separated out into wood, metal, crystal, and all that stuff. And here we have another fancy container. And then we have the cargo container. This is the one you're probably going to be seeing using a lot of, because it's just the biggest, and it contains a whopping 54,000 materials. And then you have the coal pile if you want to endorse fossil fuels, you monster. And that's basically all of them. All of them just contain materials. So, I'm going to, well, I'm going to just leave it as that. Then we need to go over here. Material gatherers, of which there's 2 kinds. They are exactly the same. The only difference is the appearance. So over here, we have the material gatherer. So when you are in a resource zone, which we are, it's this ring of stuff that contains materials for you to harvest, and the way it actually works in the campaign is like I don't know, it's a little bit convoluted, but basically, you'll see there, material has 100,000 of 100% as an accessible growth, 400 per second, 24,000 per minute, and it has about 30 million materials in reserve. So, like, you know, there's a lot of materials here. And your material gatherers, they require power to function. As it says, it takes about 30 power, but if you plonk one of them, you start harvesting. You can see down in the lower right corner of the screen, I hope it didn't say left earlier, our resource is now ticking up very slowly. And of course, the more of these you have, the faster it gets. Although, you do have to keep in mind on the replenishment rate of like your of the resource zone, because there's no point burning power on material gatherers when they're gathering faster than the zone can regenerate. So that is important to note. And then over here, the oil drill is exactly the same thing, except there's this visual tubey thing. It doesn't really matter, laser or tube, it does not matter. Either one does exactly the same thing. Alright, so moving back over here, that's reasonably simple. And then you have, we're gonna go down this side of the thing, ammo. So, you'll notice that this thing has like over almost, over 54,000 ammo access. That's because this is technically a weapons testing platform, so it has a lot of ammunition. The more ammunition boxes you have, the more materials can be converted into ammunition for your weapons to use. So if we get rid of all this, and it's quite a lot of ammo, so it's going to reduce our material storage by a lot. So we now have only 50 ammo access. So if we want to, say, put a missile launcher here, so let's say it's something like... Actually, we have prefabs here. What can we do here? Let's do the Cultist VLS. And we probably need to fire that at something eventually. Let's see here. And this thing literally does not have enough ammo access to even load this large missile. So you see material cost is 94.4. We actually managed it. Wow, it didn't load instantly though. What is this thing? Oh, it's a cluster missile. Interesting. But we need at least one more ammo barrel for this. So now we have that. So right now our weapons require about 412 materials per minute, which means we need at least 3 of these 2-meter boxes. So let's go, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so 8 of these little ammo barrels or ammo parts boxes. These are exactly the same, except they look different. And then you got the 2-meter ammo box and the 4-meter ammo box. Same thing, they're just different sizes. These things explode a lot. So if we go into our tools section here, where's my death ray? Where is my death ray? There's my death ray. See what happens. Kablooey. Isn't that unfortunate? So, like, shock horror, you do want to protect these things. The usual trick with them is to use heavy armor to kind of like shield them from damage, and to shield them from damaging each other. And let's see... Let's show live on the air how that works. So, if you segment them off like this, hopefully this works, with just heavy armor bits. Heavy armor bits, heavy armor bits, heavy armor bits are my favorite bits. Can you swing on your bits? No, you can't. They are bits. Alright, so, if we go zap, oh no, damaged. Zap, oh no, damaged. You see that stops it preventing the ammo chain from cooking off. That's a very common trick, well-known trick for preventing your ammo from all cooking off all at once and blowing your boat in half. Alright, so that's ammo. Reasonably straightforward, right? And then fuel. Fuel is the same thing, but for running fuel engines and custom jets. We will get to fuel engines, they're over here, and custom jets are in the air tab, and we have covered them already, or at least I hope we have. It's been a while. I don't remember if I even talked about these things. I should have. It's not a build menu walkthrough if you don't talk about it. So, let me show you. So currently we have 50 fuel access. So if we plonk down a engine, let's go find one. The Harmony 4K classic engine. So we have something like that, and this you'll see here. Materials per second is blah blah blah. And what's, it doesn't actually say on the thing itself, but it does say if you plant a fuel box, like this. So, we estimate you require a maximum of 2,486 materials per minute for flamethrowers, fuel engines, custom engines. Ah, yes! Flamethrowers we will also get to, eventually. They also run on fuel, so we're going to need about, for an engine like this, which is just a whole bunch of, that is an injector. Oh, this is an injector engine. That makes so much sense. Alright, so we're going to need an absolute assload of fuel for this. So, there's the single box, 2-meter box, 4-meter box, and 3-meter box. 3-meter box is probably what you're going to be using a lot of, because it's nice and it's block count efficient. And there you go. We have enough fuel to run this engine, this big thirsty engine. So yeah, that's fuel. If you have enough fuel, your fuel engines and your custom jets and your flamethrowers work. If you do not have enough fuel, they don't work. But you do have to bear in mind these things are very flammable. So it creates an 18,000 fueled fire. This particular fuel storage tank doesn't do it, 20 intensity, which means if you do that, when they get destroyed, they burn. Oh baby, they burn. Oh, they burn. Burn, baby, burn, now, 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 now. Well, while that's burning, you know, we didn't start the fire. It's always been burning since the world's been turning. That's a lie. I totally started that fire. So you see, what exploded there? I think that was my AI. Yep, yes it is. Oh well. Anyway, moving on. That's all the fuel. Now for something slightly less exploding. I actually am curious to see how much damage that does. We have electric engines and stuff, but so an electric engine generates, oh my word, whoops, let's repair all of that. That was impressive. I wasn't expecting this thing to suffer from critical existence failure quite like that. That was impressive. Alright, what was I saying? Alright, so electric engine. Let's actually get rid of this engine. Right there, because that's you know, it's a lot. And now the battery is there charging because there's steam turbines down there. Don't worry, we'll get to steam eventually. Alright, so, electric engine. Here it is. And currently power is 0. And now battery is 0. Well, no, it's generated. I actually have an electric engine down here. So what we have here is steam turbines, small ones, generating electricity, which fuels the batteries, and then the electric engines power off that. So, batteries come in a number of forms. You've got the 1 meter block, you have the 4 meter block, you have the 2x2 cube, you have the 3x3 cube, you got this lovely prefab right here, and what's next to them? Electric engines, by the way, are quite useful for things that cost 0 energy to run, and that's where RTGs come in. They're also kind of nice backup engines, or at least that's the old school belief about how these things work. RTGs are just very expensive blocks that use, well, basically the idea is like passive radioactive decay means it generates infinite electricity slowly but surely. So, I'm going to spawn in a brand new thing over here. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 2, and hopefully that'll do the trick. So, here we have a thing. That has no energy. Let's put a battery on it. Let's put a battery over here. And let's put an electric engine on it, like so. So you see we have, I guess, some power. I don't know why this thing is, this thing is, had got battery power. I think this is, it's sharing battery power with the main fortress over there. Which will not do. Go away. Where are you? There you are. So, if we do that, charge 60,000, and I'm going to put a little block here just to show that the battery is getting drained. So, we're skipping ahead a lot, but like single jammer ECMs are really good for testing power systems. Made a whole video on that. So, power is going to, let's set that to 10. So, you'll see that our battery power is now draining because we're using 10 power. And why is it still getting, okay. You go away entirely. We can summon you again later. That's another logistics thing, is that vehicles will share power and resources. Like, if they're set up correctly in the resource menu. So, this, in other words. Hold on. Hello? So, here. If they're set to, like, share stuff here, they share stuff. That's what was throwing me off. Right, so our battery's draining. That is no good. But RTGs generate electricity, and there's a handy thing here. They generate, there is a 1-to-1 ratio between power and energy generated per second. So if you have one 2-meter RTG, you have 30 power, which is really not much. So this battery has like a charge of like, this electric engine has about 360 power, because it's attached to like 6,000 charge worth of battery. You can increase that, like so. Aha, we have no material storage. Thankfully we can, whoops, no we can't do that. Uh-oh, uh-oh, we're gonna need to do something incredible. We're gonna need to do this. And now we've got some materials, and we can put another battery, and now we have 1,000 power, but we still have just one RTG. However, we can put bigger RTGs, we can put even bigger RTGs. I literally can't place this. Did I mention this was in the Resource Limited Designer? You kind of have to do this talk in the Resource Limited Designer, because otherwise, well, you can't show off resources. But anyway, where is our thing? There it is. And so, if we got... how much electricity generation? We've got 30... 90, 120, so this thing should be able to use 120 power, and the RTGs can keep up. The moment it goes over that... interesting. Did I do math right? Did I do math? I think I might not have done math. 60, 120 plus 30 is 150. My bad, it should be able to handle 150, but the moment you go to 151... you can see very slowly our battery power is starting to tick down in the bottom right corner over there. So that's no good. Okay then. Now we got to despawn everything and spawn in our little fortress again. For convenience. Once again, we have a lot of materials. So that's basically batteries and stuff. They hold your electricity. And now we get to something that I forgot was in the game entirely. Despite the developers' best efforts. So refineries are just... I basically never, ever use these things. You will notice that we have materials, but there's also commodities. We currently have no commodities whatsoever, because I think we use them all up. We could just... I don't know. So commodities are, if you're on the map menu, you'll see in the bottom left corner, we've got blah blah blah, 500k materials nearby. Commodities are like materials that are like magic and can teleport across the whole map. It's like a... pool of resources that can be distributed like all willy-nilly. So let me show you, we'll show you what that means in a second. For now, we need to talk about the refineries. So refineries convert materials to commodities and gradually converts materials into globally accessible version, and only constructs with over 1 million materials in storage can utilize the refineries. So, in order to get 1 million materials in here, we're going to need to put a lot more material storage on it, and I'm going to do that by putting a bunch of material gatherers on it, and then a whole bunch of cargo. Where does car go? It goes vroom vroom. That is a funny joke. You are obligated to laugh and like and subscribe. Alright, so 1 million. It shouldn't be too hard. Yep, just 10 of these things does the trick for our friend here, and we are slowly but surely gathering materials, and we have no commodities. So, how are we going to do this? There's a trick in this version of the designer to gain more commodities. And there's old stuff in here. Let's go... let's see, what have we got here? What's really good? Let's load in my armor test fortress, which is nice and expensive. That's an old-ass armor fortress. Deacon's Christmas. Anyway, if we disintegrate this, we're going to get a bunch of materials. And voila, we have 1 million materials. That made this a lot more convenient. So now that we've done that, we can place our refinery. We've got $1 million. I never use these because usually at the point of the game where you just have 1 million materials just lying around, you've basically already won anyway, I tend to find, so it's not a big deal. Also, refineries are pretty simple, like... well, they're not pretty simple, it's just you don't need to think about them too hard, really. You don't have to go nuts about efficiency. So now, this thing is not producing commodities because it needs a catalytic cracker. So, you basically just go in order here. So, there we have that, and now you will see... alright, stop giving commodities. There we go, F5 does that, and so now we are generating that, and there's dangerous gas buildup. So, before we do anything else, we need a flare stack, and that will burn off the gas. It'll go whoosh, refinery-wise. This was, by the way, back in the day, this refinery was how you turned oil into fuel to refuel stuff. Back when this game had like a bunch of different resources. It doesn't do that anymore, just converts materials into commodities. Some people still don't like that, but you know what? It's just how it is. Alright, so now we've done that, we can also add a coker. These things all connect in a pretty similar way. I haven't said what this does. So, that's the primary component. That is essentially like the firing piece of the thing. The catalytic cracker determines how much you can do. The coker improves efficiency. And the desalter Decreases the amount of dangerous gases generated to 40%. You basically don't need that if you have enough flare stacks. So there you go. I wonder, actually, what happens if, hold on. Yep, nope, doesn't say anything about that. And I don't know what to do. I think, like, you can connect pipes. Like so. So if I go here. Is it connected? Yes, it is. The pipes are just a holdover, I think, from like, you know, ye olde days of, like, efficiency, 0.3 cokers and crackers. We got a coker and a cracker. Let's put another coker over here. Does that improve efficiency? It does! And so you can see there, now, we've got, like, commodities building up right there. You usually start the campaign or adventure mode with some commodities, so that's useful. It's just, you know, you can just not have material storage. It can just exist in the ether, so to speak. Man, I hope I'm explaining this well. And the pipes are just a whole bunch of pipes, which really aren't very helpful. These are kind of like the fuel engine pipes, which are the exhaust pipes over here, assuming you've run into them before, and if you haven't, I apologize. Honestly, like, I think these things might be most useful for decoration these days. I don't know. But anyway, you really don't have to worry about, like, using refineries at all, mostly. There's even a guide there if you want to click on it. We're not going to click on it today, because that's all the resource blocks, really. It's like, difficult to wrap your head around, but basically, have material storage, have material gatherers in the material zone, and cargo and, like, moving stuff around is a whole different kettle of fish. I recommend my basic campaign guide for that, the updated one, where I kind of explain that a little bit better, or at least I hope I do. You are gonna have to get the hang of this, creators, cargo, and users. Oh, God, I can't go into that right now. I will link videos down below for you to peruse at your leisure. So while we're burning fossil fuels and hastening the decline of the planet, of Neater, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps. And there's fun perks in it for you, like a Patreon exclusive Discord. You can hang out with me and other cool people. And on higher tiers, I will review your craft or even build craft for you or draw stuff for you, because I can do that. I am an artiste, or so I'm sometimes accused of being. Speaking of art, I do art streams as well, and I have a whole other YouTube channel. I do multiple kinds of stream. I do From the Depths streams. I do other video game streams. Working our way through The Witcher 2 right now. The game that no one cares about anymore because it wasn't very good. It was better than the first one, but only just. And yeah. Do check out my other stuff. Thanking you in advance. And I'll see you next time in From the Depths. Farewell! Terribly sorry, I simply must see how fast this thing burns to death. It's important.